Hello, everyone, and welcome to Canadians with Disabilities and their Allies. My name is Brent Frain. I'm the host for the show, and I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. I have Sarah-Chasity Johnson joining me today, and Sarah is actually from the Smath Studio Company. I'm going to get Sarah to describe and tell everyone what she does within her company. It's such a great pleasure, Sarah, for you joining me today on our show. Welcome.
Hi, Brent. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
What things do you smash in your studio?
It's actually dark rooted, so but I can get into that story after. What it is essentially is a social enterprise. So we offer kintsugi infused, which kintsugi means loosely, it actually technically means golden joinery. So to join with gold, it's a precious element in a Japanese philosophy. So they respect and value more their broken ancestry, essentially. So it's the practice of using golden lacquer with putting together pottery pieces. So in playing off that, we didn't want to be the traditional rage room. I don't anyways, and I'm not here to clean up after anyone's shit. I've done that my whole life, being a product of domestic violence, born into and latter in life. So I was thinking about it and was like, how can I make this into something? Because I had started a program at a Queen's University called We Can, and the government was funding people with disabilities to create these programs. And so I had taken an incubator for entrepreneurship. And in it initially, when I had walked in, we had multiple studios. So we had like a scream room, and we had the Smash studio, and we had like multiple various trauma releasing and processing spaces. So when We Can got a hold of it, they wanted to isolate it. So they took out the Smash room, and I was like, out of all of that, that's what you got out of it. So I was like, well, what are we going to do with this? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's really what I wanted to do. You know what I mean? Like on my healing journey, that's, yeah. So I had to like evolve on that. And I also didn't want to watch people get off being violent. That was really key to me. Or be someone that facilitated or was the reasoning for someone that was already predisposed to become violent and be responsible for the person's life who that would affect. So it's so multifaceted, but the purpose of it, and I'll get to that, what that is in a second. I just had to give a little bit of background. And as you can tell, I have CPTSD, and I also have traumatic brain injuries from domestic violence and various other things. So in saying that, the purpose of it is to create programs for those in the vulnerable sector affected by corrections. And I'll get to that again later as well. To be able to give them projects to come on and do and be paid to do. The purpose was with these projects, put them in the images for modeling and their actual art pieces, because together they make a large, massive mural. So everyone that does a specific insert, and together it becomes a mural. So that what happens or what comes from that are the broken plates. So that's what the Smash Studio is. We have smash sessions, various smash sessions, whether it be aggressive or a more slower pace, to be able to process things and highlight your scars. And we create fine art doing both. So whether it's the aggressive or the slow paced. So the broken plates that the community breaks when we go out and do events to bring suicide prevention awareness is not only a call to my fellow brokens. They're just my fellow lost people. I was someone called me a lost girl once, ironically, where I was all of my trauma essentially had unraveled from my whole life. That's where I found my purpose with this vulnerable sector when I was put into a hot spot. So the programs are to help put their names in newspapers so that there's something positive, as opposed to just profiting off of bullshit, and then you're already lynching them before they even get to trial, and then you make them a byproduct because they're just repetitively put in there like a revolving door, and they don't stand a chance. And so that was really important for me, as well as them making a residual income, like to have money coming in from royalties off of, or licensing off of images. Like
have you displayed any of the artwork in, like, say, the Vancouver Art Gallery or any local galleries?
No, we haven't completed the project yet. It was just started, and I started it without any backing. I did it without, but we've now been recommended by the Canada Arts Council. So right now we have crowdfunding campaigns to set that all up. Because I am fully abled, I have alternate abilities. And so in saying that, I'm unable at this time. And that's not to say that I haven't previously been, prior to being knocked in the head a few times, capable of writing or putting this brain down on paper in a cohesive manner, so that people that are funding will say, hey man, that's what we're looking for, and kicking all those checking all those boxes off with their jargon, buzzwords.
Well, now you can just get Chat GPT to fill out all your forms for you, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So when did you found the company? Like, when did you get started with all that?
So I actually had run a community center basically out of my home. I was put into a hotspot in Chatham, Ontario. And then I noticed people were like cooking in the stairwells, and I just kept thinking, like, where's your mother? And I have to admit, like, I come from this same demographic. So, but I never thought of myself as that demographic. And so and I believe that a lot of humans walk around this planet and, like, you know, they judge and they sit there and say, it's just disgusting, actually. I just can't even get into it because I'll be irked about that. So I have a brother that's been on the streets and literally thrown around his whole life. Like, I mean, beaten since like birth, legitimately broken bones and stuff. And so, like, and I mean, by his peers and everything. And then to be tossed around in the foster care system after that, to just be being socially exiled, that's less than downtrodden. Like, you strip someone's soul from their body. And I can't express how badly that kills me. And I didn't want to leave him out there on the streets, and the drug poisoning was happening. And I knew that he was a good kid, that he wasn't violent like the rest of them that I had now been exposed to. And ironically, I was on trial for sticking up for my own life, is how I got put there. So, like, if you want a backstory, like I said, I grew up in domestic violence, and I ended up stabbing someone that had broken into my house, but he had strangled me in the city that I had lived with him in prior to me fleeing to this city, and I didn't know anyone. So that's what gave me the unique key and ticket to build trust with people that no one would ever have access to living in the other world, because it is two different worlds. It is two worlds. And so in that duality, I had brought them together in Chatham, Ontario, after I had left up here to Kingston to learn the arts, to bring it back to them. Because I had started doing workshops out of my pool house that I was renting in Chatham. So that would have been 2018, 2017. But I ran the community center out of my home on 10th Street in Chatham in 2016 to 2017.
Wow.
So that happened. Yeah. So they would come in and they would say like, "What's on the menu tonight, Street Ma?" And that's what they would call me, you know. They would chop the vegetables and they had to sit at the table, man. They set the table. They were if you give them something to do, they want to do it. They want to show you that they can do it. And so that's what's really important here, is to give people a voice, but to give them the pathways to be able to do so on their terms, and so that they can transition because we've all transitioned without us even realizing it. So
yeah, and you've mentioned domestic violence, and actually that's a really key thing that is happening to a lot of people in the PWD disability community.
Oh yeah,
because you're down there. You're down there. You need
and it's because you know, our provincial governments don't think it's a big deal. Like they don't want to encourage.
They pay the support. That's what they do. They pay for the workers, the caseworkers, the nonprofits. That's what they're funding. It's not to fund us to get out. And those jobs are only 9 to 5. And that's where my problem is. And they're not there for my best interest. So moving on with that, I have a little story to tell you, because I've been independent my whole life. That's the only thing that literally allowed me to escape. Literally, like with death threats, like it's no joke when you have people that are that violent do things like that. And I used to be an exotic dancer from the age of 18 or 19 to 30. Good gods. One of my girls out there will tell me, I'm sure of it. So, but in saying that, you hear and you're around violence, essentially, but we're protected from that in those environments, which is ironic, because going out when you're placed there on the streets, and I actually made a video about this, I didn't post this morning, about how they put people with developmental disabilities down there with these fucking predators. Excuse my language, guys. Sorry, you're gonna hear a couple more bleeps, and it's live, so they're not gonna be able to bleep it out.
It's okay. It's okay.
All right.
We're used to it with we're used to it with Dan. If Dan is listening.
We say in the jar there, Dan. And, no
more money in the jar. Yeah.
It's all good.
See, I love it. You guys are more accepting than, you know.
Hey, that's what the show's about. It's all about lived experience and people talking about what they go through, right?
No, but this is what I'm saying is, like, with the provincial governments, they don't respect autonomy or the program.
They use us. They use us for the research. They use us to train their students. They use us for to provide life. And I don't think people with disabilities, and it irks me, realize exactly how valuable they really are. Yeah. Because if every single one of us sat there and said, wait a minute, we do have value. And didn't wait for somebody to go and speak for us. And everybody literally banded together and stood up at the exact same time. Because I'm going to tell you something, it really irks me, because I literally do art now for these environmentalist groups and stuff. And it really ticks me off that everyone has this free healthcare that's down here on this sewers or whatever, and nobody wants to get on that bus. So while I'm for us standing up for ourselves, I'm not for somebody sitting there expecting someone else to live our lives for us. And so like that's where a lot I find of the complaining is coming from, not really advocacy. Whereas, do you know what I'm saying? You're providing an avenue and a platform to give people voices and to build confidence, because I've never done this before. I mean, I do it I talk to myself all the time. It's good.
Nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
Well, you know, so they say. The DSM-5 would disagree, but yeah, that's funny that you touched on that about where they put people with disabilities. And I mean disabilities to the point where they're not going to pass a grade 9 math exam. They're not going to pass a grade 9 English exam. Why are you putting them down here? But yet you get to pay a mortgage and you get a car. We can't even get a credit card. Like, I'm just confused here as to where this line is. And then you get upset when we want to alter or deviate from those plans, and then you cut us off. Well, you didn't want this, but now you've already wrecked this. And so now like you got no rent record, you've got no this, you've got no that, because and they don't tell you this. There's no transparency. And so you're like trusting these people with your life, essentially, because most people that go on it later in life have no idea. And neither do the ones actually born into it. They have no idea of the actual ownership and what rights they do not have under these agencies. And it's absolutely atrocious. And I can't even tell you how, I thought I did die. I literally died. I shed skin. I did a battle cry on the floor. I dissociated. I like had snot coming out of my nose. I was so devastated about how I have been fighting from this type of violence to become safe and find safety within my life at least once before I go out. And honesty, and to find out that every entity within the entirety of your life literally just tossed you to the wolves and didn't give two shits. It's just absolutely, I can't even tell you about how painful that was. The movie Maleficent comes to mind when she lost her wings. That's literally what comes to mind. Yeah. So, but there was a girl getting raped in my building. They had her locked in there for 3.5 days, and yes, exactly. And she doesn't think that there was anything wrong.
Oh, wow.
Yes, exactly. Because she was born into a family of addicts. And so that's what that's bullshit.
So she just blames herself then?
She's like, my brother's one. He blames himself.
Oh,
you can
really?
see the difference. Like, that's who deteriorates fast. If you notice when you go and, well, I guess you guys wouldn't notice, but I'm a very observant person. I always have been, because I'm a survivalist by nature. But when you are down there, you can definitely see, but you have to be down there to see it. So like, I didn't realize why my brother would look through me. And then I realized I dissociate as well. So like, there's a difference between becoming suicidal and homicidal. However, in saying that, when you get to that point of, I like to use this word now. Someone taught me the word downtrodden, and I just keep throwing it everywhere now. So I'm gonna utilize the word downtrodden, but time that by
we're gonna sound like old English people here.
Yeah, there we are. Yeah.
English lit class or something.
Right? And
let's all be downtrodden.
Trauma, but really
it's all good, yeah.
Looking for yeah. There's a difference between those who get off on it and those who do not. And you can see the life still in the ones that get off on it.
Yeah.
So you can tell the difference. People would say it's drugs, it's this, it's not. I don't care what you say. They need the drugs to numb, because when they weren't drugging, you still kick them down there and they looked the same. And so you might as well, when in Rome, because that's the only thing that's going to get rid of that agony. There's no way you can be out there without a protector, without joining. That you can't. You can't. Because they're going to be violent. They'll take you out, man. Period.
Yeah.
And every human body wants to live.
Oh, for sure.
So I just don't believe that if they're not actually going to be the soul suckers, that they deserve to profit off of the soul sucking of that life, so that they could sit back and watch and write stats and send this in, and let's go make a new medication, and let's go. If anybody in that demographic actually read, there is no medication that can help dissociative identity disorder at all. None. Zip, zero, zilch. None. Zip, zero, zilch. Trust. That's it, with one constant of a minimum of 10 years. And so, but yet they're all medicated. They're all medicated, and then they call them addicts. And yet, if you go outside here, and anyone that has a job, say as a teacher or as a retail worker or a bartender or owns a company, or they're snorting cocaine off strippers' asses, and they're taking medication. You know what I'm saying? And they're drinking box wine, like, but they get to have freedom. So like, I'm confused here that who the real addicts are. And I'm confused here as to like how the whole planet's not waking up yet. Like, but that's why I'm here, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we talked about, sorry, Brent. I was just going to say that we kind of talked about this on the last show, or maybe the show before too. I made the point, when the pandemic first hit, you had you had the premier here and the health authorities stand up and
For photo op?
yeah, and say,
Yeah.
well, you know, isn't this sad that we lost, 10 people died today. And like I said, at the time when we talked about it the first time, I said it's not to minimize, that there were real deaths and, real tears and everything. So I don't want to minimize it, but it just seemed very hypocritical that the government can say, these people here matter because they're dying from COVID, but 30 years of abuse of people with disabilities or people that are homeless and struggling on the streets, we've ignored them for 30 years. And
well, they're under the care.
There's been no chairs for them.
And
of course, that's where, but humans have to hate. They have to have a duality. Humans have to have both sides. So it's an excuse for them because, God forbid, if they didn't have anywhere to outlet that other piece of their duality, because every single human is both. If they didn't have that, then they would take it and it would internalize into their own unit. And that's what would happen. It would seep into their own.
So many times that there's people have reasons why that they're on the streets. There's reasons why that they're homeless, but the government will put it all.
The government made that. The people made that. Actually, their policies and their procedures.
It's all policy. It's all policy driven.
Yeah. But that's what protects them from their job. That's what protects them. So they don't have to be accountable. But who has to be accountable? We have to be accountable. So I'm accountable. So I'm getting punished for someone's statement, not actually the actual trial transcripts. Is that what you're telling me right now? Because he admitted in there, and the evidence showed that literally he wasn't wearing pants when he stabbed. So do you know what I'm saying? It was just all. So so I proved that he raped. It didn't make any sense. It didn't make any sense. And so that's what I'm saying when I say smoke and mirrors, boys. I'm saying that everything is a photo op. And if you get the masses to follow, you can change anything. And that's it. And that's what I would like to say out there to anybody with disabilities, that if you feel like there's no way to get out, you have a story to tell. Yeah. Every single one of us. And that is whether it's tragic or even the happy moments.
Exactly.
You have something to say, so fucking say it. And if you need some place to help you do that, that's where we come in.
And you always share the lived experience, Brent. That's always a big thing with you, right? Is sharing lived experience. But it just seems that I don't know, there's no appreciation government-wise that people have different stories and different lived experience, and the way we have our social network set up or the social support system set up, it's kind of just throwing everybody in the same shit pile, saying PWD and homeless, they all go in the same shit pile. It doesn't really matter, right? There's no real sense of delineating like who's got this problem of being
but
homeless.
Why are we segregating? That's the problem. So if we banded together, we could fucking move mountains. That's one. Two, playing off on what you just said, and my brain just went into a different altar. I can tell because I can't get at it. Sorry. So,
okay.
Sorry.
I go through that too.
So what people are understanding too is that when people say give more money to people with disabilities, wording is very key. Yeah. And if you do your research on jargon and read actual. So for example, I wanted to know what my life expectancy was because I thought A, this was crazy. B, way too much violence, and I know what brain do you know what I'm saying? And I didn't want to. I wanted to know how much time I had left to save my life. Essentially, is exactly why I started doing research. And then so when I looked and I just said, how many years comes off a life later in life to someone that's was in a domestic violence situation and they were strangled to death, but came back. And so then that came up and that said, this takes this many years off your life. And I said, oh shit. Okay. So then how many years, what happens if they were born into childhood before the domestic violence later in life? They were 20 years automatically off. And I'm like, holy fuck. So I'm going 20, 40. My dad died at 54. Jesus Christ, Sarah. So then my brain was in hyper
mode.
It was Matrix. It was the movie The Matrix. I can't even there's nothing else I could say except for downloading. And it was dying for the information. And it was so putting and what it was doing is that it was attaching itself to my walk. throughout
Wow.
my whole life of every time that I sat there and said that I was injured and no one listened, or they sat there and said, there's nothing wrong with you, take her home. And yet I'm reading all of this medical like dissertations and theses and all of these things, which is, that's where I'm playing about where you're saying about lived experience, Neil. Is that I literally sat there and researched for 2 years of what not to do and what no one else should do around me. So to stop that, which was now a snowball effect. Like essentially it was that, or like I would be killed by one of them because I was in such fear and panic of dying. My body was in legitimate survival mode. Not none of this, you're in fight, flight, freeze, so you're a little bit combative. No, man, my body's legitimately in actual survival mode. Like it's kill or be killed now. It is not a joke. Like I've literally already gone through all
fight or flight, as they say.
Yeah, but I've already done all 4. Sorry, like they try to tell people you got one or the other. No, you don't, man. Your body's going to start at one and it's going to go to the next one if it can't survive in that manner. And that's what your body will do. It's a survivalist at the end of the day. And I have DID. So lucky for me, I have different alters, but those different alters have different coping mechanisms, which makes it just came all to be really fast. So I was just really lucky, I would say.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean.
That's what the government see. They want people
to be able to do something about that.
They kind of want people to hear what they want you to hear. Like I went to a meeting recently, Sarah, and the computer system, it was last updated in 2002, and we're going to build a new one. It's going to be 2 more years. So that's the reason why they can't change rates. I mean, you tell me like 2 levels of different, 3 levels of government, and it's like.
But if you keep giving them solutions, if you keep finding solutions for them, like that's the point, I think. Like, so at least you came up with a solution. Whereas,
but I don't understand how 20 years or 21 years of outdated software is considered an okay thing.
Is that what they told you?
Right? It was called the bus pass, remember? They dismantled it. They couldn't figure out how to put it together. But
do you see how funny of an answer that is? Like just standing outside of a box. Just standing outside of a box and like I don't even know if I respect you anymore. Like as a walking, talking, English speaking human being. Like how could you possibly just throw something so stupid and then you bred? Like I'm confused here. Like that's something I would say to them. Like I am not nice in any capacity. I'm good though. That's the difference, guys.
You know, I look at when somebody tells me a bunch of riddles, and I know for a fact, like, come on, like I used to work with computers since I was a little kid. I used to program them, reprogram, take them apart, put them back together. When someone tells me 23 years or 21, I mean too many years, and I'm thinking, wow. But I did come with a solution, and they blew their mind. I said, why don't you just give everybody subsidized housing rather than paying high market rent? Everyone becomes home, take them off the street, put them in the housing. Wow.
Quit talking so much sense, Brent.
It was a concept that,
But subsidized housing.
Don't be so sensible, Brent.
I was put in there, and that's why I have brain injuries now, and I have post-concussive syndrome.
But I mean,
you can keep everybody at home, but that doesn't mean that they're gonna they don't know what a home looks like. They've never had one. So like in saying that, in order to integrate and like to play off of what you're saying, and people do that, I believe that we should make groups of us, the disabled people, I hate that fucking word. We are completely able. We're just we're just different.
Differently abled. I hate that term though too.
If I was so boring and normie, like I love my kind, honestly, and I'm adaptable in so many scenarios and situations because I know how to read a room. I know what's needed when I walk into a room. I don't ask them, do you need my help? I go in and actually help them.
Yeah.
You know, most people, it's just like they just, I don't know, they won't ask, or they're proud, or they're pride, or I don't know. But
you know, another funny thing too is like
community's big. That's what
my son is 14. He's going to be 15 in September. And way back when we first had him, or even before we had him, like we were just thinking about it, and we talked to doctors and actually even talked to some social workers too, because actually before we were successful in having a baby, you know, we were having trouble for the first year or so, and so my wife wanted to do adoption, And so the worker said, well, you know that you are considered high risk parents, the both of you. And I said, high risk parents? I said, well, why? I mean, isn't the requirement just to be like loving and make sure you can provide and be loving to a child? And they said, well, no, because you have a disability, because you both have a disability, especially, you are considered a high risk parent.
Insurance rates.
And it's like, wow,
you're insane.
That just surprised me, though, right? Like, it just kind of threw it out there, like, wow. And I never really thought of it that way. It's just like, I thought, well, you just give a kid love, and as long as you can provide and give them love. But they're thinking, oh, that's a high risk, to bring a child into a situation.
So sorry,
like
Neil, I'm going to bring this back for a second to the people that are homeless. Why do you think they're homeless then? When they send these people to a rehab, what do you think their chances are out here to even get insurance? Zero.
Yeah.
No one's going to insure you. They don't tell you that either when you're under these social workers' care. So in saying that, when I say you're making yourself more disabled and putting more barriers up, not doing the work and expecting someone else to do it, because no one else is going to save your life. Do I think that it's fair? Life isn't fair, and I get that. However, I don't believe that people that have been downtrodden their whole lives and like literally forced onto the streets, like literally because they don't have a family and they don't have anyone that loves them. And that's just a fact. Like I don't have one family member that reaches out to say hi to me.
We have a comment live from Ellen.
Oh well, there we are.
Typed in a comment in the chat, and so shout out to Alan, and he says, I hate being seen for my disability and not a person like these social workers talk as if I'm a mute, like, excuse me, but I have a brain, laugh out loud. Talk to me as if I'm in this meeting.
Alan, I teach you all the time. That's because you talk about your disability all the time, and that's what you concentrate on. So when you're concentrating on just what your disability is, that is what people are going to see in you. If you concentrate and focus on what you're good at, or what your hobby is, and what you
photography,
love, and can profit off of that, right? But that's another struggle, because as you'll see with Alan and my dynamic, Alan's now moving up to Kingston. For anybody that, I don't know if you guys go on P4W with Patricia and Mitchell and I'm not sure if you guys all know each other. I think you do, because I think that you set up that group, Neil.
Ellen and I are a bit of, I always think he's a bit of my twin, kind of, because we both love photography. So we always end up talking photography together.
But I always have to drop the topic, because again, he's working at a Swiss chalet, or was, and paying for somebody else's yacht. And what I can't get through to anybody on disability's head is that why are you not literally working for yourself, doing what you love? And I had to ask myself the same question, but did I? No, I don't think so, because I actually was a gymnast and I loved doing acrobats and I loved all of that stuff. So the fact that I was a dancer does not make me in any sense of the word bad, needy, anything of that nature. Actually, I actually was incapable of walking out of a stall fully dressed, being secure in any capacity, and being nervous that people thought I was naked. So the fact that I can now walk around in my own skin is so empowering. I can't even express to you how much of a change, or what that did to change the trajectory of my life. Like, either way, my life was going to circle back to that moment in that demographic to figure out my life's purpose. Like, the universe just has to do that. And everyone comes to that point in their life where that moment comes, and it's whether you're going to make it or break it. So like that, I'm really grateful that Alan is finally listening, and that he's coming, and he's going to start doing his photography, and he's going to start making royalties and money and selling prints and doing all of these things that he should be doing. Because why? If you're wasting that energy giving it to somebody else, you don't have to do that. But that's a sense of security, but it's a false sense of security. So
yeah, the part that really baffles me, though, it's to keep people housed, and how governments will, they have this archaic system in place, and they know people, but they take away, oh, you don't have an address, well, we're going to take away your shelter. Now you could pay to a landlord a little bit, maybe because you can't afford the high rent, but if you don't have an address, you don't get that shelter. Now you get less money, so now you're homeless. Right. So you've now set the system up as that way, so that now you would be homeless versus having housing.
Well, we call them couch surfers actually, and they do surf couch.
Mhm.
I literally made a cover for them all in my house, and they slept there for 10 months when they withdraw because they don't sleep. But that's the point. They can't keep a house, and then their neighbors, because why? Some of them have kids, some of them don't have kids, but they don't like people that are addicts, and that's the problem here.
Yeah.
The problem here is that they wouldn't be as blatantly out in the open, appearing the way that they do, if they weren't treated that way. It has nothing to do with providing a home for their house, because they've had 100 of them, all of them, everybody. Okay, if you we can give it to you, are you going to keep it? Can you keep yourself safe? Are you capable of literally being able to keep yourself safe? And if you can't keep yourself safe, are you able to call the other side of business to the business world? Because that's all it is, essentially, is a business. They're a product. They are the money, period. You wouldn't have policing. You wouldn't have any of these jobs. And if you think that any of these people are going to literally sacrifice their livelihood and give up their job so that we aren't disabled, that's fucking just crazy to even think like that. So like, I think that it's best to be able to put your noodle in both sides to be able to come up with a well-rounded solution. And I think that if we all do that together, with all of the holes that we have found, and be able to not plug the hole. I mean, you can just get short, right? And that's cool. That's what we're doing right now. But a lot of people with disabilities also don't realize you got to work together. And they got a big problem with that about me, and like my only circle and my net, because that's all I trust. Whereas the people on the streets, they walk in and just, can I shower? And I'm like, okay. I don't think I've ever had anyone ask that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, sure. Do you want to go in my closet? That's really fucked up, but sure. Okay. You know what I mean? They really put their trust out there. But you can lose it just as fast. So when you're repeatedly trusting people that let you down, and they have no other option but to let each other down. So it's a self-perpetuating cycle. But as you can see, people that are the normie disabled people that didn't become addicts yet are put down there. And then guess what? You need a protector, man. If a straight, normal white person out there needs a fucking protector in their house with a security system, what do you think we do down here need? We don't have any of that. So like, to sit there and to cast that light onto people like that, like, it irks me. And I love being in a room with them because my vocabulary is so pretty. And so am I. And I like to put people in their place. But now, because of the brain injuries, I'm not as graceful doing so. So now I lash out and I sound like I'm violent, which absolutely irks me because it was all preventable. So that's another big reason of why the studio is what it is. It's to give them a pathway while also stopping others from being aggressive or violent. Like, they say that they're not when they cut you off from these organizations and things like that. But that's what death is. Ghosting, silencing, not allowing people to process that trauma, come back to it again, and then you fucking punish them and cut them off like the hangman. And literally that's what you're doing to an already injured body. Stop doing that shit, because don't cry then when they turn and snap, because that's literally what the body has to do. It's a biological process. It wants to live. Your physical body, it's got nothing to do with your noodle, man. Your nervous system will separate, man, and your body will go first, because it's like, yo, you didn't keep us safe. So now we're in charge. So
it's that little trend where it's rinse, repeat, and it's kind of keep doing that same cycle over and over. Status quo, it's not working. Like, you're right.
More people down there. Yeah, you're just
you're right. It's like getting components from every PWD ideas coming together and building that network of ideas, and then
create solutions. Not. Look, we already know what the problems are, peeps. Like, all of us know what the problems are, so that's cool. We'll get a whiteboard out. This is your specific problem. Awesome. So that's a story in itself, though. Write a book.
Yeah.
Go write a book, or how about one of us partners with each other and we write a book, and then everyone profits off of that, and that is literally what the whole world is based on. When you watch your television shows, when you read your books, when you read your documentary, every single story on the entirety of this planet, including Star Trek, is derivative from real life and true stories. They're human history passed down to each other, literally, and we call it entertainment. And that's all.
Sometimes I wish I was Data, the one of the characters.
Yes.
Make
You
your
know?
phone number one.
Yeah.
I like Dana. The curly hair though.
Ellen had a follow up. He wanted to. He basically explained himself a bit more. He said,
Of course he did, Alex.
well, he says the reason he took the job is because of self-esteem. But he says, it's because that's what he's used to, right? He's used to working. But he said also too, the money, of course, helped him invest in the camera gear, which is important, right? I mean, we all need money to invest in our
we think that we'll die
too.
without it. He likes to buy useless stuff instead of investing and saving. So you did say you're good at that, and I get that. But we have to literally put ourselves into other people's positions that have zero and nothing and no family and no parents. So in saying that, to elevate, I mean. But Alan, don't explain yourself, okay? I tried to stop you from talking about camera talk all the time on yours, and I couldn't make a comment on your YouTube, okay? So you can bug me and message me 1,000 messages later.
Dan is here in chat too, so he'll be impressed that you're already soaring and putting money in the swear jar.
Yeah, Dan, the jar is there, Dan.
Dan, mine's like overcuppeth is overfloweth. Like,
overflowing, Dan. Overflowing. Don't worry, Dan. We can all add to it, right?
That's why I'm poor. That's why I'm like literally down here, man. It's because literally I swear too much. Like I had.
One day I had dropped a couple F-bombs myself.
Yeah. You think I learned my lesson when they upped it to $5, but no.
Yeah, but inflation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it all comes down, like you say, down to lived experience and having you come on, Sarah, and talking about what you've gone through and just it's a systemic thing where like governments have set up in certain places.
It's a human thing. If we keep calling it systemic, then everyone's protected by their job. And I literally make videos, so anyone that wants to follow, but I literally say it how it is. And this is a human problem. This isn't a system problem. This is your neighbor's problem. This is your sister's problem. This is your brother from another, whatever the hell, you know what I mean? Like, that's what the problem is. This is not systematic because humans built the system and they're protected by that system because they chose to protect themselves in that system. So once we stop and start dividing, that's why we're separated. We'll never be able to beat that wheel because, like I said, nobody's going to give up their livelihood. So if we can literally speak to people as your job is not 9 to 5, your job is to literally worry about your brother and sister. Your job is to literally sit there and lift as a community. But don't expect people to like it's a conflict of interest for them to have a personal relationship with their clients. Nobody thinks that's weird? You think that's weird?
Yeah.
So you love me if 9 to 5, you're gonna help me, but then you realize it's not really fucking help. It's a referral to another agency so that they get numbers. Ding, 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 which gives them funding. Ding, 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 ding. Hey, guess what we're doing? Training students. Yay, ding, ding, ding. Oh, wait, we don't have an executive director. Wait, we have to wait for another student. Ding, 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 ding. To write our grants because none of us are capable of writing our grants because we micromanage so much that I do this job. Oh, sorry, that's not in my, you're passing the buck. That's all this is passing the buck. And it's not the fucking system. It's my neighbor and it's my fucking cousins and it's my dad's dead, but whatever. It's everybody.
But I'm glad that you said that, though, Sarah. I'm glad that you said that about system. It's like, I got a big pair of scissors here. We're going to cut that system right out.
Well, everyone's mad at the liberals right now, but what no one's realizing on the liberals is that we're saving your ass, you dumbasses. Now you're going to take it away from us, then you're going to put us backtracking us back to disability. Because why? Because all of these conservatives are bitching their brains off now because, oh my God, our taxes are so high. Well, what the fuck do you think paid your kids? Who do you think paid your kids tuition? Exactly. We did. We did with our fucking lives being the research product of all of your it fucking irks me. Shut the fuck up, sit the fuck down, be humble for a minute, and please give us our time on this planet. Because I'll tell you right now, had those incubators not been at Queen's University and at Keys, and I knew to go there because they could sit there and help train people, because I was losing my language. I was losing my voice literally in compartments because I lost all my confidence. Literally, I lost my voice. I couldn't get at compartments to speak, for fuck's sakes, because literally people had literally broken me down so much. And that's a collective of humans. This isn't one incident. I'm not stuck on my childhood. Okay, dipshits. This is what fucks really up. Okay. And I got no problems or qualms calling a spade a spade. Yeah. However, what these dipshit conservatives don't understand is that they created jobs for your conservatives, dude. Okay. Those are the ones facilitating all of these incubators and shit and mentoring underneath all of your businesses so that we could create more jobs. Because why? Because this ball was going to roll, dude. You can only go for so long. You're not what's holding the planet up. Okay. You can only learn so much. And guess what? The DSM-5 came out. Why? Because medically, we've done what we possibly can do. Nutrient-wise, we know what the hell saves and doesn't kill. Yet, what do humans do every day? The shit we're not supposed to. And then, can you please save us? You know? Yeah. Well, then don't put us that were born with it down here in the gutter, man, or you get down here. How about that? You come down here for a week and tell me if you don't even leave with this attitude, because I assure you, it took a lot of years for me to pick up this milk, man. I never even said the word shit. So I'm 24 years old in front of my mother. And I spelt it out and I still felt guilty about it. So I don't want to hear anybody, well, that's why you don't get help, is because you talk like that and that you present yourself to the world like that. And I will literally knock you in the fucking throat. Because I'm so tired of listening to everyone just do, and nobody's doing nothing. It's nonsense. If you can type behind a keyboard and bitch about what rights that you're not getting and what money you're not getting, then you can fucking write your story and send it to me and let's go fucking publish a book. Legit. And make money for yourself. I'm tired of hearing. I'm also tired of hearing the entitled assholes that are white privileged, suit wearing, whatever, straight people, because I have no idea why we have to sexualize or gender or what. Like, I do not even know where that just all came out of. Now everyone's disabled if they are. Well, let me tell you straight, peeps. Your alcoholism and your addiction and your patriarchy and your forcing that fucking solution is what caused that. Literally, all of your children's trauma is directly created by you. It is preventable. It is not genetic. The reason why they call it genetic is because you're still forming as a human body up until the age of 8 years old, and then you become an actual personality till 25 from life experiences. So when we all start becoming accountable for what we literally put out in the world as a butterfly effect, let alone I'm hurting inside, please, I'm sorry that I'm violent. How about you just let it out for 1 second and literally this whole planet can breathe, because everything has an effect from that cause. And that is a fact. And whether they believe it that it's not going to happen immediately within their bloodline, it's happening. So,
well, that's a good. I think that's a good mic drop moment, because we're actually coming up against the clock here.
Thank God.
So we should start to wrap up a little bit. But that was good.
No, that was very. We'll
talk later, guys. We'll do some video just like for fun though, and you guys, use them. I'll be a free advertiser.
I always say you just have to say it from the heart, right? You just say it how it is, and that's it is, right? Sarah, I'd like to have you come back on another segment. We'll continue on.
Yeah, good, because I'm sweating now. I'm so nervous, and I know I break out.
Hey, it's all good. You just go with it, and
that's right.
You just let it out there, right? I mean, I always say just let it rip,
Exactly. That's another reason why I get upset with them, is because they act like I've never overcome something in my life. Like, you're acting like this is the first time that I'm not being strong enough. Like that irks me to no end. So yeah, I have no problems blowing.
What I like is the person just saying how they feel, who they are. I mean, not with what other people want them to say, or they're just who they are, and that's it.
I'm actually quite sweet though. I'm actually quite nice and sweet and like gentle. But I'm also a firecracker. I'm like a walking contradiction. It's really rad.
Hey. So will you send us flowers after the show?
Absolutely, some Tim Hortons for sure.
And then Dan's watching. Dan, boobly bits. Dan. Yeah,
we're gonna get you that sponsorship. I'm telling you.
Alan says you nailed it. He says you nailed it. So,
Alan, you're watching Snellygusters. Alan.
Snellygusters.
Yeah, you'll love that one. Yeah. That's what. Well, right. It's all about just talking about what's on your mind. I mean, what's going on, and and just being you, and that's what's perfect, right? And
I
that's
had to go
what
through all of that to
everybody-
get a voice because I never stuck up. I stuck up for people, but I did it quietly. I didn't even have a story of my own to tell, or so I didn't think. And the reason for that is because I did live vicariously through everybody else. And I did not people please. I don't people please. I'll please you, but I'm not like pleasing you like to be used. That's just not my gig. But in saying that, it's to alleviate stresses from people. I like doing that's something that I love doing because no one likes to feel stressed, man, and no one likes it when people are stressed. So why? It's just, you know what I mean, man?
Yeah.
Come on, people, get out there and don't buy them a Starbucks coffee, okay? Carry their groceries, or if you see them struggling, help them. Don't ask them what they need. They don't know what they need in that moment, or else they would have already successfully accomplished it and utilized it. They would have already figured it out and done it. They're not struggling because they know what they need and just can't find it and they need someone to come and save them. It's because they're frazzled. So humans, be human and actually be a being, a human being, being human instead of being a people, because people suck. I'm just saying that. We're going to make t-shirts, guys. And
said like a real dog person, right? Dog or cat person. People suck. Go pet a cat or a dog instead.
Just put a flag over top, right?
I swore I wouldn't become that cat lady, gentlemen. This is the final leg of my life, and I'm like, no, don't do it, Sarah. But you're lonely, girl. No, don't do it, man. No.
Cats crawling all over your head.
The cat lady.
You have to successfully learn to be able to cohabitate with a human. Okay? So that's my final test in life. That's what I'm attempting to do with the remainder of my life. So we'll see.
Awesome. So Sarah, we're gonna go to ending.
Thank you for having us.
Is any other questions coming in from the audience, Neil?
Yeah, Ellen just says Snollygosters. That's it.
Love it. Love it. Yeah. But I guess ending statements, and then we'll arrange to get you on in a couple weeks. We'll have you.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Awesome.
I might mail you guys some stuff, and then you guys might have to apply it while we're doing a video.
Sure.
Yeah.
You're gonna put us to work while we're live doing a podcast?
Yeah, I think that it will. I think it'll be funny. I think that you'll have some. Oh yeah, I'm geeked about it. I'm already getting visuals of what's gonna happen on that.
Do I get to break stuff while we're on air?
Yes.
Cool.
Oh, right on.
Okay.
But I'd like to thank you so much, Sarah, for coming on. This is great.
Thank you.
Awesome segment, and just be real. I mean, be yourself.
Be real.
And that's what it's all about, right?
Find solutions and be real. You know what I mean? Don't when everyone else around you is trying to help. So, but if anyone wants to tell their story that doesn't ever speak out, or has been sexually assaulted in childhood, or like I said, domestic violence is a very delicate. It's a soft word to use for what we endure. So. In saying that, anyone that's ever been strangled or suffered blows to the head, please reach out and we'll do something. Because you're not dying voiceless or nameless. We were born for greatness, from the wonderful words of Papa Roach. I will leave it at that.
They can, and Sarah, you're right. I mean, if they can reach out to you, and if they want to come on with you onto the
sure, for sure, yeah, tell the story.
Tell the stories, right? I mean, and anyone watching this, reach out. Just reach out to me. Reach out to Neil. Reach out to Sarah.
We'll art it out first. So that it rips the Band-Aid, and then it's easier to talk about. So, because when you have to look at it and face it,
you could do that. Hands. Touching hands, reaching out,
not yet.
Touching me, touching you.
Not yet, boys.
Virtual,
Mine is like, yo, back up. This ain't a petting zoo.
Hang on.
But that's because I've had
restraining order.
You know what I mean? I've had all the bad feelings. So, I just got chills. All right. On that note.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for taking care.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming by. Thank you very much.
Brent, are you guys on every Tuesday? When do you guys have post live?
We are on whenever.
Yeah, we're on.
No set
okay,
schedule.
so I do the same thing. I do the same thing, and that's cool. I love that even better. Like I do.
Yeah.
I love spontaneity. I love pop-ups, doing everything.
Sounds
we
good.
we always just wing it, eh? So
we do. We just wing it.
That's the way to do it.
I literally do that at parks though. I literally go to parks and I'll do a pop-up paint thing, like, and just bring tons of shit and put it out. And like if kids come, they're like, wow, man. Like when you're not expecting the boom and the fun, which no one ever is, because like this world's boring and not fun now. Because God forbid, that takes too much effort to plan. Like stop planning, people. But yeah.
You just wing it, just go with it. That's
it's the best experience ever. Oh yeah, it's the best experience. And I literally have nothing and I'll give everything. But that's what's wonderful about life, you know?
Yeah, you just say how it is.
That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
Buy my life. You can't buy my life, y'all. Okay? Yeah.
Nope.
Time, respect, attention. That's what feeds life. So money ain't buying health, obviously. Well, it's buying theirs, but not ours. So like let's get on the right side of the road, okay, guys? The middle.
Yeah.
Right.
Like every country driver, right in the middle.
Right down.
There you go.
Right on.
All right, guys. I'm gonna go now. I've said bye like 4 times already.
Okay. Great. Well, thanks.
That's like the Ferris Bueller.
Yeah.
The show's over. You can leave now.
I can't help it. I'll be here all week, folks.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Yeah.
Down.
Thank you.